Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. I want to talk a bit about PEDs, and I know this is a subject where people roll their eyes and everything, but I made a couple of videos recently about, I mentioned Canelo failing his drugs test, the whole Ryan Garcia thing, this thing called SARMs. Now look, as I've said before, I am not an expert on PEDs. I worked in the drug industry, well, the recovery industry, I should say, working with people who were addicts, and I did have dealings with people who were doing PED cycles, but I'm by no means an expert. I've been on training courses, but you forget things and so on and so forth. So I'm sure some of you know more about PEDs than I do. But what I do know about is I know a cheat when I see one. And I know a failed drugs test is not something that should ever be swept under the carpet. I don't like cheats. I love boxing, and I hate people that cheat because you don't need me to tell you this is a contact sport. It's extremely dangerous anyway, and if you cheat and try and gain an unfair advantage, you can kill someone. And there are enough boxers who end up dead or at the very least, with problems later on in life, pugilistic dementia, which is a fancy way of saying punch drunkenness and so on and so forth. So that is, whenever I make comments on this subject, I'm not an expert on PEDs. I'm talking about cheating, okay? Now, a lot of people aren't happy because I've called out, well, that's the wrong phrase, isn't it? I've mentioned Ryan Garcia and Canelo, and I mentioned the hypocrisy of Oscar de la Hoya when he supported Canelo back in 2018 about this whole tainted meat thing. And there he is on the podium only a few days ago, slagging off Canelo for failing two drugs tests. And I'm not supporting Canelo, by the way. He failed. End of chat, as far as I'm concerned. All right. Likewise, of course, still on the subject of De La Hoya, he was goading Eddie Hearn and gloating over Garcia's win over Haney. Said to Haney, go back to Eddie Hearn, that Englishman who's trying to make it in America. Go and see what he's got for you. There'll be no rematch. Well, there certainly won't be a rematch now. But then lo and behold, Ryan fails a drugs test, whatever the drug is for, doesn't matter whether it's PED, SARMs or anything else. I always thought a psalm was something to do with the Bible, but anyway, bad joke. All right. So anyway, I want to address this issue when we talk about this subject of, I suppose they're fanboys, either that or they're just stupid or naive. But and I don't mind stupid people. I don't mind naive people, but I do mind it when they get arrogant and tell you that you don't know what you're talking about, or this happened, that happened, and they kind of, blow verbal raspberries at you over the internet, of course. They never say anything to your face. But I've had a couple of people who've commented and have, as the young people say these days, I suppose they've triggered me. I'm triggered. I'm going to lose sleep. Not really. But, one particular imbecile said Canelo did serve a ban, and you can't knowingly know that he knowingly cheated. You can't know that he knowingly cheated. I'm paraphrasing, but number one, he was given a 6-month ban, a retrograde ban, which of course means absolutely nothing. Even if it had been a 6-month ban from the date they decided to give him the ban, it would be nothing out of his career. Absolutely nothing out of his career. Now, the second point, which was, you can't know that he knowingly cheated. No, if the point you're making is that I can't read his mind, you're absolutely right. I can't read anyone's mind. It's feasible that it was a mistake, that it was tainted meat, But here's the point. I don't care whether he knowingly ingested this. He failed tests. And if there's anyone on the planet who has enough money to hire a team, a nutritional team, a dieting team, strength and conditioning, all this stuff, who can hire the very best people to make sure there's nothing contaminated in his system, it's Canelo. Why? Because he's made scores of millions of dollars or pounds, whichever currency you want to go by, or whatever the hell it is in Mexico. Is it pesos? I don't know what the hell it is. Anyway, look, I don't care whether someone knowingly does it. It's like the Conor Benn thing. And by the way, Hearn is another hypocrite. I made a video about him, sticking up for, I absolutely believe, I absolutely believe Conor Benn, I think and Canelo, he's a fine young man. He's a really, yeah. Oh, Ryan Garcia, oh no, Oh, no, I think Devon's been hard done by. Why don't you believe Ryan Garcia, Eddie? Why not? Or why don't the fanboys? Why don't you fanboys, you Canelo fanboys, why don't you believe Garcia? Maybe you do believe, I don't know, you tell me. You know, if you're caught with stuff in your system, that's your lot. You have to go out and prove that you're innocent. Prove you're innocent, because as far as I'm concerned, you fail that test, you're in the dock. And the case for the defence has to be presented. Now, there are some people who make valid points in the comment section. One of them, this is just one example, these are clearly much more intelligent people, and they have something to say. And one guy said, well, Canelo, he did a hair follicle test. This was back in 2018. And normally if you take clenbuterol, it stays in your system. If you do it, it can be detected. It stays in your system and can be detected weeks afterwards using a hair follicle test. And it came back negative. So therefore, it adds credence to the fact that Canelo, did ingest tainted meat, because there have been other examples of athletes. I think the Mexican football team, or soccer team, as the Americans say, I think they had the same problem. Tainted meat, yeah, it was a problem. They pump it full of clenbuterol, the farmers do, to make the cows bigger, leaner, more meat on them, and so on. All right, I can live with that. That's a fair point. He had a hair follicle test. I'll take that on board. But again, he failed a test. Even if it was tainted meat, it was tainted meat, and he wasn't cycling, doing a PED cycle. I don't care. He's failed a test. I don't have, when it comes to banning people, I'm not someone who says first offence you're banned for life. Someone like Jerome Miller, who rattled when he walked, he had so many pills in him and so many needles sticking in him, and he was like a fucking pincushion. Yeah, kick him out. He's failed enough. I don't no problem with kicking Jerome Miller out. Conor Benn, Canelo, Garcia, I'd say 3 to 5 year ban. That's how I do it. 3 to 5 years depends. Every individual should be looked at separately. When have you ever heard someone say, "Do you know what? Yeah, I did take it and I got nicked." Maybe Larry Olibamiwo, the British heavyweight, he owned up. And another guy in the comments said, and again, I take this on board. He said, "Do you know what? Because I've got no tolerance for people that say, well, they're all at it." This guy phrased it differently. He said, "I think the majority are probably at it, and PEDs are rife in boxing and sport in general." Absolutely agree. It would not surprise me remotely if you tested every single boxer every single day and a load of them popped. And I have great suspicions about certain big names in the sport going back the last 30 years, from Evander Holyfield to Manny Pacquiao, definitely, Juan Manuel Marquez. You look at the structure of their body, you look at the word I'm looking for, tone of their skin, the composition of their skin. You look at the way they're built. Some of these fighters look manufactured, as does Canelo to me, since he moved up to super middleweight. It would not remotely surprise me if he was still bang at it, but I don't have any proof, so there you are. And also, I should point out, some of my favourite fighters throughout my lifetime failed PED tests, and it's always a black mark against them. The most naturally gifted boxer I've ever seen, the one that stands above everyone else, is Roy Jones Jr. He failed a PED test. James Toney, brilliant defensive fighter, master of the show, the Philly show and all that business. Marvellous fighter, steel jaw, fought everyone from middleweight to heavyweight, failed a PED test. I don't care what the circumstances are. You failed, okay? These are elite fighters with millions of dollars at their disposal. They can afford to hire the correct people to oversee their training with regards to what goes into their body, strength and conditioning, what's legal, what isn't, who's testing, therefore which banned substances are going to be on the list. Some poor sod, no doubt about it, if some poor sod who is a small hall fighter in Britain had failed, it's the same test that Canelo failed, Jones, Toney, he'd probably be banned for life. He'd certainly be given something like a 5-year ban. Okay, so there's one rule for one and one rule for the other. I don't excuse that. I don't sweep it under the carpet. I suppose what I'm saying is I'm not for sale. I think anyone who does that is I've got nothing to really say to them, really. So yeah, a little bit of a rant today regarding PEDs. You may agree or disagree or whatever. If you've got any comments to leave, by all means do so. And subscribe to the channel if you're new, and hit the like button and do all that good stuff. And thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.